Okay, let's call this meeting to order. We do have a quorum. And thank everybody for coming today. Do we have anybody on Zoom, Christie? Okay. I'll go ahead and take care of the roll call duties. We have Diane Parker here. And Eldon Merrick here. Greg Rivet here. Thomas DeWitt here. Mike Rackler here. And my name is Mike Davidson. We have honorary member Ursula Parker here. And not here, Larry Levesey, Eric Segovia. Okay. Let's see. Skip the minutes. That process is being worked on. The agenda is published in advance. I need a motion to adopt today's agenda. So okay. Anyone opposed? Okay, agenda of 10/21/25 is adopted without modification. We will be discussing the items specifically on the agenda, and we will include with members of public works. I got to change my template here. Members of the Water Advisory Group, city staff, and the public having the opportunity to comment for up to 3 minutes. As a point of order, please indicate if you wish to talk, and you will be given the floor. And please respect while someone has the floor, let them speak without interruption. So today on the agenda, the first item is a commercial water application by Navitas Global and Industrial. So, okay, come on up. Go ahead and state your name.
Good morning. My name is Max Fishman. I'm site manager in Navitas Global LLC. Company I'm working on owns all ethanol plant in Portales. This plant has been shut down for 14 years. So previous year, our company bought this plant. Now we're kindly requesting you to start water service for us if possible.
Yeah.
My name is Michael Scheer. I'm a plumber and I'm working on the building, repairing the leaks and stuff, getting going.
That's true. That's the extent of the presentation.
Oh,
Just,
yeah, I'm sorry, it's my very first time here, so I
That's
didn't
good.
know that I had
problem.
to have any presentation. I can say that this ethanol plant, we're going to produce ethanol. It is a very interesting and unique technology for me because we use dairy permeate, and this technology allows to produce water as byproduct in the future. The thing that we need water to start up our project, to fill all the systems, and that's definitely demands on water consumption. But after that, in the future, this technology will give opportunity to produce some water for city flow.
Okay. And just, I took a tour of your place out there. Very interesting operation. We have any questions for these gentlemen?
I have one. Going back to the previous plan, the ratio of water used 70 gallons per produce 1 gallon. And you're saying the water is actually a byproduct of this process?
Yes.
Could you give us a brief explanation and maybe some ratios, inputs and outputs, and how that's going to work?
Yeah, very good question. The thing that this technology uses dairy permeate as a source, and dairy permeate consists of water and sugar, right? So we took all the sugar, like lactose, from and a little amount of water. About 90% of water is going to be used like for own purposes of production, and some amount is going to be returned back.
Going further, saying take the dairy
Mhm.
and 90% of that water, are we going to use that red house cleaning? Is that production? What is the output? It's different from me. There's one saying that byproduct of water. You can see we're moving the sugars from the water, and I'm looking for more of a general output flow. And in regards to water process uses, are we going to be paying 10% of that water, or 90%, 60% goes back to in-house cleaning we producing? Are you gonna have enough water, pollution on water at a certain point? And then the water from the city is just going to be for bathrooms, sanitation
Yeah,
and
exactly.
such? Go into that one next.
Very good question. Actually, I cannot address all of that question, but
That's fair.
from my point of view, there are some needs. This plant gonna use like water from city for sanitary basis and for a startup to fill all the water systems that are on site. After we're starting all the business process, we're gonna have water as a byproduct. Some of it gonna be used inside the plant for cleaning, for some technology process going on site. And part of it that we don't need might be returned back to the city.
In future, if there was someone who sees some qualification of those numbers, instead of just a general statement, I'd love to see that. Fantastic. I know if you were kind of on the spot, you weren't expecting as much,
Mhm.
but that's something I would like to see. Sure, at
Yeah.
some point, we can get something to work on.
Yeah, sure. Definitely I can do that. That depends not only on me, there are a lot of engineers on site and technology.
No question, because you're the front man,
Mhm.
I'm asking those questions, so it's.
Yeah, of course, of course. I will prepare all the questions for you and address.
Very good, thank you.
Thank you. Also, I wanted to say that we attached a list of our consumption by month to our water application, so you can see like our estimates for nearest year.
All right, do you have that with you right there?
Yeah,
Uh,
sure.
Could I look at that one second? Cause I don't seem to have a copy of it, and when I did have it, it was turned sideways, so. So I do notice, and this, okay, this is a start of average demand gallon, 2 million gallons.
That's for startup, which is planned for March and April of 26.
Okay, so that's 2 million in that month,
Yeah,
that's a month worth.
yeah.
Okay,
That's a rough estimate, and we're trying to put maximum numbers that we're not really going to consume, but just in case, like, it's better to ask more.
and that's basically filling those tanks up the first time.
Yeah, exactly.
All right. That was my only concern, is those numbers kind of popped out to me.
That's what plant needs to start up the process.
Exactly.
Yeah. I understand that you want to see when the business have an opportunity to return back some water. I can double check with my management, with all the engineers, and provide that information.
We've heard some numbers from the previous gentleman. I can't remember his name now.
Edward,
Okay, yes, and talking about 1 million gallons a year back to the community or something like that, or.
might be, but Edward is better than numbers. He's
Okay,
that.
all right. Eldon, do you have anything? I'll give this back to you. Thank you.
So the plant was shut down forever, and so what we did is we've got a tanker with water out there, and that's how we've been testing and repairing our lines, everything that was broken underground and stuff like that. So now we're pretty much ready for water now. So
So as part of this that you're gonna use for cleanup. Washing down things, washing out tanks.
Right now, we are currently looking for water for sanitary basis. We want to start hire people, and they need to go to the bathrooms, use water, toilets.
So we still got the tanker there, and that's what we're using to fill up the pressure washers and stuff like that. So
I guess my question is, are you connected to the sewer system where the. Any wash down runoff stuff is gonna go into our sewer system causing issues there?
No, sir, because right now they're cleaning out the main building, and it has its capture pond. And basically it has to be pumped out of there and then taken out.
So you're removing it by truck?
Where does it go from? Take the wastewater, put it in the truck, where do you take it?
Mighty back.
So it's on
And the pumping service.
We don't know where they.
They're probably dumping it back Oh, this is first.
Yeah.
Unless you tell me where B is.
Yeah.
Really good.
Yeah, I don't think they have an office over here. I know they do in Clovis, so. So
So on the wastewater side of it, how, and I don't know who can answer this, or maybe even our guys, these numbers here, does that, how does that reflect comparatively to other businesses or
Where they
what?
put all this like sodium and all.
Yeah.
I'm talking about like the VODs and the
Wastewater.
TSS and
Yeah, that. Anything alarming in there, do you think?
Yeah, to go back into our system.
no, I mean,
Okay.
we'll have if they're to tie into our sewer system and we have to collect, they'll have to, since they do have some of those numbers that like the TSS and VODs, they'll have to file for or fill out a permit. And then in that permit, there'll be language that restricts them to what those levels can be and if it goes over. And that's actually how we would charge their usage as well.
Okay. But them numbers as they stand, they don't look alarming to you?
No.
Okay, that was kind of, I didn't know, so I just wanted to ask.
Gentlemen, if I may, Chris and Eric Foot, would you like to have any input as to opinion on this? And if you don't wish to, that's also fine, but you guys are, in my opinion, you guys are the expert. So I would love to hear from you, and today, what these gentlemen, I believe, are asking is just for water service. So-
Right, and the way I understood it is that this application was supposed to be taken to Public Works committee, then to be recommended. And I'll read you I think it's an ordinance, it might be a resolution. But it's under the commercial, manufacturing, and industrial applications for resource service usage permit. And this is only if they're gonna use 100,000 gallons a month, that it shall be presented to the Public Works Committee for recommendation to City Council.
Interesting.
So that's, I'm not sure. Did you guys get put on the Public Works?
I think
Okay,
I
I think we could probably take,
Next
yeah, I think we could probably take the recommendation from
two votes.
you guys to Public Works and then.
Okay. So Diane, did you have anything you wanted to ask?
No, I was kind of concerned with what you were talking about, so we could make a recommendation here, then that would go to Public Works next week, and then from there go to council
Yes,
for final approval.
correct.
So that is the ask for the approval of the Water Advisory Group to provide these gentlemen with water service. And to send this to Public Works for the same thing.
I would say we would like to hear those numbers in Public Works. I got, I don't think that's gonna get past Public Works, not.
Mhm.
The numbers that were being asked earlier. I think that's gonna be survived, but that.
Do we have a motion to approve this as this committee to move forward to Public Works?
So moved.
Second.
Is anyone opposed to this? So, with unanimous consent, we will approve that to move to Public Works and get to that next step.
Mhm.
Okay,
Thank you.
okay, and get those numbers that they're asking for, and of course, keep it moving on.
So they'll be notified of the meeting for Public Works next week.
Yeah, Public Works is on
Tuesday.
Tuesday, the 28th. So,
Yeah, if anything changes on that, let us know. By chance goes directly to council or something, let us. So, all right, thank you, gentlemen.
that would be held here.
Yes.
Yes.
Awesome. Thank you.
Thank you.
And next up on the agenda is North Water Project, Steve Davis. Good morning.
This presentation came about from a discussion that I had with Mr. Mitten. Just a chance, once he finally had been here long enough, not to be pressured so bad, I just wanted him to have the information that I had on any projects that we had had ideas about, looked at, or in the future, we're thinking about looking at. Now, this presentation is not about North Water Project. It just happened to be an example. What we found out after it was put on the agenda is it could not be brought up through this committee to the council, even if we wanted to. That would have to come from the council itself, since they've already dealt with it. It was just listed as an example of a complex water source project that this funding source would be, it would fall under their criteria. Even one as complex as it was. It would actually take care of just about any water project that we came up with to investigate. This money is mostly through the New Mexico Environmental Department. The reason we're giving this is just to get your recommendation to the council to let Mr. Mitten and his staff proceed to investigate these funding sources through the NMED and the permission to make application for them if we had a project. But the first step of it would be to come up with a long-term water plan, which I'm not aware of exactly how long-term of a plan we have. If we had one in place, we wouldn't have to do that. If we didn't, but there's funding available. Let me see here. Through New Mexico Finance Authority Local Government Planning Fund, there's $100,000 grant to help create a water plan if we needed that. So that funding is available if we don't have a comprehensive enough plan to apply through the NMFA to get that grant to design and construct that long-term water plan. There are multiple millions of dollars already made available in the NMED for water source projects. They have the money in hand. They have told the city that they want them to apply. They're asking us to apply. The money is there. They would really like us to have it if we could make the application work. And we're talking, like I said, multi-million-dollar in several different places. But it is a substantial amount of money that they really want us to be able to use. The terms, once we have that long-term plan, which like I said, would be a $100,000 grant if we need it through the New Mexico Finance Authority. Once we had that plan, then money for water projects would be available through the Water Trust Board, the Drinking Water State Revolving Fund, New Mexico Capital Outlay, and some other similar programs. There are several different directions, and they would help direct us where would be the best place for us to apply for any given project once they looked at it. Couple of the projects that were discussed were some that I had found information about. I don't know how many of you are aware of it, but we have in our Blackwater well field, we have a 4,000-foot oil well that had been drilled and capped in 1969. So we do have access possibly for an exploratory well that might not be as expensive. These funds would give us the ability, once that plan was in place, the next step would be to apply for water for the exploration of that idea. They have preliminary engineering report capabilities with the State Office of Engineers that would be available to us also. So once we had a project in mind, we take it to them. They would look at the project and decide exactly what course would be best to take to implement the project. That water project, or the water long-term plan would be to set a set of goals, objectives that we would like to meet over that long-term plan. And then they would help us to implement to get to those objectives. But that is just one example is that deep well that we have already established in our well field. That if we were to explore and be able to find water, and the institute in Socorro, New Mexico Institute, has told us that they have a model that's in the preliminary stages that shows a map of the Santa Rosa below city of Taos. And it's about 1450 to 1500 feet, down to 1800 feet. It's between 140 and 300 feet in depth of the formation that would fall inside where this well is. And this is just an example of a project we could do that they would be willing to help support. And they really want to help us do these things. Another one would be, we've talked about outside of this group, it's been talked about what can we do with water that runs down our streets that we're collecting in the pond south of town. That water could be one of the projects they would look at. And it's not injection is not the right word for it. Would be a recharge well. Where that water would be able to go back into our aquifer quicker than it would be through natural processes. That doesn't look like too big of an advantage, except for the fact the longer the water that sits there, the more evaporation there is. And the data in this area shows that we have 6 to 7 feet of water that evaporates off of standing water here in Mexico in this area. So, I mean, that's a lot of water we're losing back to the atmosphere instead of putting it in the aquifer. So that would be another project where they would help us to look at the project, design the project, and see if there was a way. There is a way. The recharge technology is there. What would it take to put it together to make it work there to help our aquifer? There are other communities, Rio Rancho, Albuquerque, that are actually injecting water back into the aquifer there from the wastewater treatment plant. But to do the actual injection, then it would have to be up to drinking water. You know, it'd have to meet that criteria before it could be injected. That's not the case with the recharge well, because the filtration is built into the recharge well. It's like the basic process that happens if you have a septic system. It's going through natural filtration to get back to the aquifer. It just helps to expedite that to where we don't lose it to evaporation. So those are the top projects that these funds would be available for. A letter that was sent to the city of Portales. Let me read you one paragraph out of it. This is from the New Mexico Environmental Department to the city. It says, we encourage all communities to consider NMED's range of funding programs, and we'd be happy to assist the city in determining which program might be the best fit for its potential project. For a project seeking to develop a remote water source that would require build out of transmission infrastructure, NMED's program funding is contingent on water system having a legal claim to the source of the water. NMED is also available to discuss the possibility to support the city's efforts to develop a preliminary engineering report to examine the viability and challenges of any project before the city decides on its preferred approach. And that was directly from them. They're really interested in us helping or taking advantage of the funding that they have available. So that basically is a presentation of just trying to get it moved on to council with a recommendation for review to consider giving Mr. Mitten the permission and his staff to look into this funding and to move forward to use it if necessary. So any questions?
You want them in alphabetical order or chronological?
A lot.
So did you say you did not know what they meant by long term? Is that in conjunction with the state of New Mexico? What is it, 40 years? Yeah, is it coincide with that?
That I don't really know if I have the information to tell you at this point. Before they consider long term, but I'm guessing it's going to be over 20 years.
Yeah, okay.
40 and working.
I think Mr. Mitten and Ashley have already been working.
Yeah.
40 year plan, so
Okay.
that's probably part of the same.
Very possibly.
And in regarding the rainwater capture recharge capability, and I think we talked about it, but we ought to make it clear. The residents here are able to capture rainwater for their personal use. The municipality isn't. And however, you have found a way that is allowed by municipality to capture that rainwater and for the purpose of injection back into the office.
Yeah, the situation is at one time municipalities were able to apply for an exemption if they didn't have a local lake, river, waterway that water would naturally go to, which we do not have that situation. So I asked about that with the engineer's office. They said, no, that has been done away with.
Okay.
There are no new allocations, and allocations meaning anything that would take away from the natural aquifer. In other words, all the people in the area of that aquifer have equal rights to that water. If we took that water, RO'd it and put it straight back in our system, we're taking that water away from the other people that had rights to it. But if we were to do a recharge well, where we're putting the water, the intent is putting all the water back in the aquifer, we're making it available to all those peoples. So that's the reason it would be allowed. As a matter of fact, I think they kind of encourage it.
Go ahead.
We've got just a little bit of a natural process there already, because we've got a pit. Took all that dirt out of to cover up our trash pit.
Mhm.
And that's where our rainwater runs to.
Yeah.
Puts it closer to where the aquifer is anyway. So you taking, I don't know how deep is that thing out there, 35, 40 foot. At least. So you've taken that much topsoil out of the equation, and it's got to filter down through.
Right.
You're probably somewhere around 80 to 90 foot above the aquifer there.
I would guess, I mean, red bit on
You got
my
a little
will.
bit of a natural filtration system there, but you're talking about, this is creating a compressed route to get it back down there by creating some kind of this natural absorption well, kind of get it down closer.
The way I understand it, you have a certain amount of clays in that substrate before you get to the aquifer. Once those clays get saturated, it's difficult. It doesn't mean the water's not going to go through, it just doesn't move very quickly. They want to make sure you've got some kind of filtration in the top of this recharge well to make sure we don't have a problem as far as what the natural process would be. If we've already taken 30, 40 feet, we've taken part of the natural process out already. But they want to make sure to be safe, but to get it through those areas of saturated clay. In other words, they would probably bore through those areas of saturated clay to give it an easier path just to move the water more quickly.
Okay.
But still, they're looking at
I
filtration.
think there's a lot of exploration still to be there as far as you're gonna have. You're gonna have contaminants that come off the streets, everybody's vehicles driving rubber off the roads, the oil leaks, the pesticides,
Which is,
all of those things that are gonna come in with the runoff that got cleaned out of that. But it is worth looking into for us to see what the process needs to be. It could be that it's a lot less of an investment to do something in that order than it would be. I mean, EDS&A had a program where they were going to take and clean that water up, not that much, reuse water, and then have another pipeline going back out to our well field to inject. I could see this being a whole lot less money to invest, but possibly doing as much good.
Nick?
Especially with the fact that that's right out there by all of these wells that RCEC is tapping into. So.
Right. Now, given the fact that we're already not treating that water and letting it go back into the aquifer, even with the contaminants that we know that we're dealing with, this filtration in this recharge well would be to accomplish the same thing. Now, once it's tested, it might change the elements that they put in the top of that recharge well. I don't know. That's something they would have to tell us, but I mean, we're already introducing into the aquifer everything. It doesn't come out through natural filtration as it is. True. So, yes, it could simplify what they were talking about as far as sending that water back out and injecting. There is a situation in water in this area. Horizontal movement is very slow. It's at a rate of 0.38 inches a day, which is roughly 139 feet a year. Laterally, horizontally, that water will move. If we let that go back to the aquifer there, it's more likely to benefit the RCEC project that has wells around that than it is our city well field. But we have to understand too, as we decide how we want these projects to go forward, if it was a situation where that water needed to be piped back to our well field, that's still something they would consider in these grants. That would be something they would be willing to look at.
So
Yeah.
if I could back up a little,
Mm-hmm.
we're talking specific projects here, that's not what you came to ask us.
No,
But you asked us to recommend to the council, and here's where I get confused. Why do we need to give them permission to seek funding sources with the state? I thought that was already their job. I don't know why we're having to tell them it's okay to ask for funding from the state. Seems like that the city would already be doing that without a committee having to say, we want you to go find funding. They know that. So I guess I'm lost why we need recommendation that goes after funding with the state. I guess that's my basic question is why aren't we just doing that by the nature of city process?
well, I guess it would be similar to some of the grants that we've signed lately in city council that gave the city permission to go ahead with the exploration of that project.
It was a specific project. So here's where I get lost. If we're just going after.
General funds.
Yeah, it just seems like we'd be doing that anyway, and then come to the council when you pick a project. I guess I'm I'm fine with that. I'm fine with recommending it. I just don't understand why we need to.
If I could interject, possibly, to,
Let's,
for one thing, to keep the water advisory group looped in
Right.
to what's going on with water. So, I mean, I think it's a given that we would go for whatever funds are available.
And I commend Steve for doing the research and finding out this stuff, because, I mean, that's basically what we're here for, is to try to improve our water situation. So he's introduced source of revenue here that we weren't aware of, then by all means, I think we should
Let me,
look to utilize it.
for the purpose,
When I saw it, it said the North Water Department, it's something kind of threw me off, so I thought that it already did, kind of. Let's just rename this the application for the Mexico Environmental Park funding. You just ask for approval so we can start seeking that fund. Is that the basis of what we're trying to get here?
yeah, I
Rather
mean,
than any one specific project.
not anyone.
Allocation for funds, it's. Once again, I understand why we have to ask for it, but if that's what we need to do, then.
We're sitting here talking
I
about
see it.
the 40-year water plan that they're working on. You just right there said that there was $100,000 grant available to help utilize that.
Yes.
To help draw that up.
Yeah.
Instead of having our staff and city management use time, you can bring somebody in that's their forte and just kind of give direction
And I think it would be some assistance from the office of the engineer also, because they're willing to do the preliminary engineering report. This is basically an information situation, so that you have the information, so that the city council would have the information, so the public would have the information, that we have things available, and we're willing to go after it to be able to look at options.
Way I was listening to your presentation, a lot of that stuff has to be done before you even qualify for some of these funds. You take over.
That plan would have to be in
That
place.
plan has to be in place before you qualify for some of the water trust board grants or the NMED
In other words, if our 40-year plan is not quite as comprehensive as we need, they would help us get to there. To get that plan to what it needs to be so that they can bring it back and have the criteria they need to look at the project. That's my understanding.
But the way I understand it is not necessarily the stamp of approval from this committee, but basically what the city is receiving, because this was addressed to the city, this letter for this funding, and it was not addressed specifically to this group. So by getting it to the city, they're saying, okay, do we have this approval? Just so the water advisory board is aware of it, take it to them, get their approval, let them know, and kind of what you're saying, in our effort to be transparent as much as we can in every different committee and division and wherever we are in the city. This is, I think, the reason for this. And kind of like what Mr. Rackler was saying, there's lots of different projects, and anytime we're made available to have grants or money made available to us.
Yeah.
Absolutely. And so basically, we're letting the public know.
Right.
We've received this letter because there's funding available and we are taking advantage of that. So not specifically saying, yes, we don't, we agree or we don't agree. It's just basically coming through our committee for that reason.
And I think moving, I don't know if permission is the right word, but we've made this information available here. Your recommendation would be take it and make this information available to the entire council. We've got several of the council members here, but not all, not a majority of them. So, just to carry this forward information wise to make people aware of what's available.
Thank you. And thank you for your time and
Sure.
research for that. So.
Any other questions?
The city got anything?
No.
I guess we move it forward. Make a motion to move it forward.
Yes.
Yes.
Yes, in a second. Anybody opposed? Now, moving it forward, is that moving it to Public Works again and then to council, or just bumping it straight to council? I mean. I'll go with Mike. He had to step out. He asked me to go from there, but yeah, well, next step anyways, we'll move it to the next step. Thank you, Steve.
Yeah, thank you.
Let's go back.
It's locked.
We solved everything. Excellent.
Yeah.
My apologies. I was weed eating the other day and I took a rock to the inside of the nose. It chose today to act up on me.
So we chose.
So you're done?
We chose to move it forward, Mike. We just don't know for sure whether we wanted to move forward with Public Works or straight.
Okay.
Your thoughts?
I would think, why not go directly to council?
That's
And save some time. I had two other things I wanted to mention. One is that I do believe we're getting some assistance also from the USGS on an aerial radar survey that can help on some of the things you were talking about with the deeper water.
Yes.
So that's going to be a pretty extensive support that is not on our dime.
And that's gonna come from two different sources.
Yeah.
USGS has got one in progress or fixing to start now. The New Mexico Tech and Socorro we're on their radar. They've been working on Roosevelt, New Mexico and Curry County for a long time. They were gonna start a project here this year, but since USGS did, they backed off, make utilization of some of their data before they actually begin, but they still have that project in mind.
And the only other thing I had was a comment, and Eldon kind of touched on it, but it is correct that you took this upon yourself to find this out, correct? You're working on this
Yes,
on your own, correct?
yes.
So I wanted to say kudos and appreciation for that factor, for taking the responsibility to do that.
Thank you.
And at any rate, that's the only other comments I had.
Only other thing I have for clarification is when you talked about this deep water, it is brine water, it's not,
Yes.
it's not.
Yeah, it's very most likely gonna be salt.
Yeah.
Yes, which
So
is
you
gonna
have to
involve.
go through a desalinization process.
Yes. Yeah, it's gonna have
Looking at-
probably gonna
That's
be
probably
run through
something
an
we're gonna
RO
have to deal
system.
with in the future.
And
Yeah, it's probably gonna be run through an RO system.
you know, we've talked about this before, anything that we can do to become part of our plan is great in my view. The only drawback I have with that deep salt water is it's basically your last resort, in my view. Because we've sat here and run through our freshwater supply. Now we're starting in on surface water. And you tap into that salt water and start running desalination plants, and I mean, you're tapping into your last source there, because
I hear exactly
So-
what you're saying.
and I'm not saying that it can't or shouldn't be done, it's just I kind of tend to kind of draw back from that and say, man, are we that desperate? Do we need to go there right now?
Well, you know, that's part of the perception that the public has of us right now. We're in that position.
Yeah.
And we're not. We have water. We need to manage what we've got. We've got other sources like the RCEC, many of those that will help us with our city demand. But the other side of that, and I know you're not arguing the fact of the deep water, I know that. But it's between 10 and 100 times larger than the Ogallala, is what they're telling us. The loss of water is not so bad with RO as it used to be. You know, it used to be 30% of your water that you pulled up, you lost to the process. There's a plant in El Paso right now that's running 27.5 million gallons of water through an RO a day right now. They have a plant that's built next to them that's taking their 30% of water that they would normally lose, processing it, granulating the minerals, the metals, anything that's in that water, including the salt, granulizing it and marketing it. And sending them out of 8 gallons a day, they get 8 million gallons a day that they get. They're sending 5 million gallons of fresh water back. So it's cutting that percentage of loss way down. So the lost RO is not.
Technology will keep getting better, that's for sure. You know,
Sorry.
technology is just gonna keep getting better,
Yes.
keep getting better. So that needs to, you know, I agree that needs to be on our long range plans, but I'm kind of with Eldon, it needs to be, you know. Somewhere after I'm long gone, then we have to hopefully have to resort to that, but someday we may have, or we have to be ready.
I agree.
Yeah, and that's absolutely, you're being prepared and just.
That's right. As long as the information we have will arm us for something that we needed. And the technologies are there. If we can find the water, and there's no guarantee that that deep well would, but this funding program would look at those projects. That they're specifically asking us to apply for type projects that we're looking at.
Yeah.
The study of these.
Have you ever seen a map of what they call the Santa Rosa?
I have. There's a lot of maps in Texas. I found 0 in New Mexico. That's one of the reasons I got a hold of New Mexico Tech, and it took me several years to get to New Mexico Tech to find someone that could take the all well data that we have in this county, because we have a lot of data from wells drilled in this county. Has anyone put that map together for the Santa Rosa? Well, that led me to a hydrologist in New Mexico Tech. There is a map. At this point, I'm not allowed to share it because it is a computer model preliminary that they haven't published. Does that make sense? But Portales is definitely inside the deepest depth of formation that they show in this area.
Yeah, Santa Rosa goes plumb down into the oil field down in the Odessa area.
It goes, it's huge. It's huge. Amarillo has 7 wells drilled into it right now. I found out that about 12 years ago. They started an RO system on 7 wells for Amarillo because they couldn't depend on Meredith. The same time, or roughly the same time, I found out about El Paso, but it's been within the last 4 months that I found out about this plant on the side of that plant to be able to bring back much more clean water than what they had. Oh, and by fact, Hereford's also in this formation. they're not, it's the Amarillo and El Paso, I believe, around 1,200 feet deep. Hereford, I think, is 800 and some feet and is sweeter water than the other two, and they're actually been able to take it and blend it with the water they've got. So, I
And
mean,
the water they have is absolutely atrocious. I mean,
Making it better, maybe.
yeah, they come in at above 800-900,000 TDS.
Yeah.
Cause I've tried purifying it, it can be done, but it's a challenge,
well, it's not gonna be any more challenging probably while we're looking at Ute water.
awesome.
You know, so I mean, it's just filtration and the filtration technologies are there. They must be working because they're using them all over the United States.
They're getting better.
Kind of getting off topic, but all these projects would fall under this.
Early eighties, the loss on RO was about 80%. So to even have 30% is a marked improvement.
Right.
And then if they're processing the remainder,
Pilot plant they're building on the new project, they're expecting to be down around 17.
That would be in the area, something close to what that is.
so that's good news.
Okay.
And to be clear, not all deep water is brine water.
No,
Some of it's crystal clear. So
so I mean,
maybe not in this region, but it does exist. So
case in point, Blue Hole's putting out 3,000 gallons a minute of fresh water. At the very same time, Bottomless Lakes is putting out 3,000 gallons a minute of salt water. These are underground water channels, however you want to put it, that are probably qualified for deep water, but.
They claim those are linked together too.
Hmm,
They claim that those are linked together.
that's interesting.
They have put out some like buoys or whatever in the water at Santa Rosa,
Mhm.
have them show up that weird.
Right. Well, it's interesting, that whole system, the whole Pecos River system, there's sinkholes all the way up and down it. And both of these instances I'm talking about, with Blue Hole and Bottomless Lakes, those are sinkholes. Those are places where the earth just fell away and water came up. Anything else I can tell you?
Okay, good.
thank you very much. So we have recommended that this go directly to council for further consideration. Okay. And so next up, we will allow for public comment if anyone desires. Did you two gentlemen have anything you wanted to interject on this?
Nope.
Okay. Ursula, you have something? Okay.
Yeah, just some visual aid for you, I think you can understand.
Okay.
So I just wanted to take a minute to show you again what our system is capable, but mostly I'm here today to brag on Chris Mendoza and Eric Duran.
All
right. I don't know if you know this or not, but the sewer plant is actually on our system, so we actually have one of our meters that feeds their office and whatever, their lab and things that they have to do. And on September 3rd, well, you can see by the chart right there, you can see that's a water leak. That's as plain and simple as our system gets. You can see the graph growing. But on about the 30th of September, our system notified us of a leak there. So we kind of started watching it a little bit. Well, when it started getting bigger, I called Eric, not knowing that he was in Santa Fe in training along with Chris. So we kept communicating back and forth. And I mean, from the 30th of September, it used 514 gallons in a 24-hour period. By October 3rd, it was up to 2,200 gallons in a 24-hour period. Now, some of that could be usage too. You know, we don't know. We can just see what's going through there. And so when I contacted them, we talked about it. I asked them, what can we do? We need to do something to get this down. I understand you're shorthanded, as most utilities are, something that they may not have ever shared with you. But if you go to New Mexico Rural Water, our operators are leaving faster than we're gaining operators. So I feel for them. I'm fortunate enough, I'm staffed, but I'm not staffed with operators. I've only got 2. So, but anyway, so I talked to Chris and he was like, okay, what if we turn it off? What if we turn it on when we get there in the morning and we turn it off when we leave? And so you can kind of see it was getting upwards of about, it got up to 5,000 gallons in a 24-hour period. As soon as they started turning it off and on, it dropped back down to 1,500 to 1,900 gallons in a 24-hour period. So you can just keep kind of looking through there, through the water that went through there, and then they were able to call it in on Friday and fix it. And again, I just wanted to thank them. I know they were a little bit stressed. They were stuck in Santa Fe. They, they don't have enough guys to even do what they're doing when they're all here. And then to add in this additional problem on top of everything else. So I just really appreciate them taking care of it and lessening the water loss. And you can see what our system's capable of. I know you guys are considering new metering system. I recommend this one just because I have experience in it, but I know there's other ones out there and it's amazing. You can see on here, on the graph, there's some places where it's kind of blank. All that is the collector couldn't read that data, and we're actually, if it's okay with you guys, I did a work order this morning. We're gonna go put an external antenna on it. It shouldn't be in your way at all. It'll just kind of be on a T-post stuck in the ground, and we have found that's helped a lot. The problem with that over there is 7 is a notorious dump road. And that meter gets trash on it all the time. Like we went out there one time and there's a mattress on it, so so there's always something on it, and that's usually what we figure is causing us to have a little bit of problems collecting that data. So, but anyway, I just wanted to tell you guys I appreciate them, and yes, very much so.
This is a prime example of why we all need to working together.
Absolutely.
Go out, supply us. It's all these two.
Yeah, it's kind of ironic that I'm selling y'all your water, but it is what it is. That's what happens when you're in the county a little bit, I guess, but yeah. But anyway,
Good job by everybody.
yes, very much so.
This is what Portales needs.
This is an example of multiple entities working together, instead of working against each other.
Yeah.
This is great. Thank you.
I've always said, I think the guys on the street anyway, my guys and the city's guys. They're not the problem, we're the problem. Once we can get our differences worked out, but they all work great together, and I really appreciate them getting onto that because I know it was stressful. I've been there, I know what it's like to be out of town and have a crisis hit and you're trying to figure out how to get it handled over the phone but anyway, I really appreciate them taking the effort to turn the meter off. I know that was a pain. Because I was asking Eric, how far do you think from start to finish that meter is to where the office or the lab and everything is? I would say it's
over 1,000 feet.
yeah.
Definitely. That's, it goes all the way up that road and then circles back around the dewatering room and then goes to the tank. So it goes to the office. So it's,
Yeah, it was a collar.
it was a collar on 2-inch line, but it was about
About 6 feet.
about 6 feet deep underneath the asphalt right there by the water station. So.
It's just this system has been awesome. So I have I don't like to call him retired because he's young, but a turned out board member who's very active in the fair and stuff and everything. As a matter of fact, daughter was showing, might or might not have been my granddaughter, but we called him and we said, hey, you guys have got a leak. It's about 20 gallons an hour, which is kind of what the city's started at. And so he was like, okay, so what they were doing is they would get up every morning, they would top off their horses' water, get their chickens water, get and out the house, and they would turn their meter off, and it would stay off all day long. As soon as they got home, they would turn it on. Everybody would go in and shower. They would top off horses, go back out, turn it off at night. Turn it off before they went to bed, leave it off, and they did this for the whole week of the fair. And then got out there and fixed it. And it's the picture. I don't know if you saw it on Facebook. I posted it. It was probably the size of a pencil lead hole. And it was 20 gallons an hour. Yes. And they thought it was a frost free because those are notorious. The toilets and frost free is where we tell everybody when we call them, look there first.
Especially toilets.
Because that's going to be the most common and maybe not the easiest, but in that. But his wife said, look over there, look at that patch of weeds in the yard. Oh, no, he just knew it was frost break. Well, his wife was right. It was patch of weeds, but so.
Imagine that.
But they got it dug up and got it fixed. So that's, again, whatever kind of system that the Water Advisory Board and Public Works or whatever recommends to the city. I just recommend something that's got some analytical software so you can see it firsthand and you can get notified of leaks, because that has just saved us tremendously. I mean, I just did an interview with one of the companies that we went through with this, and we actually started looking at it, and the December to January, right before we started our meter install at the end of February, just our members lost 2.5 million gallons. Because that's when we got hit with one of those really random cold snaps. But we didn't know. Because, we, like you, everybody else, we're only going out there and looking at that meter once a month. If that leak starts 5 minutes after my technician leaves, we'll never know it. Until we went back around a month later. Now we know. It'll be 24 hours, but we'll know because it takes that long for the meter to say, hey, there's something going on. And they've got him in Logan. I got called yesterday morning because somehow or another, we thought we turned ours off in Logan, but we didn't. So we've got a toilet or something running. So they ran over there and turned it off for us. So it's helped a lot.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Absolutely.
Thank you guys very much.
And once again, thank you, Eric and Chris.
Yeah.
Always thanking you guys because you always go above and beyond. So
Most kudos need to go to the crew out there working. Yeah.
okay.
It finally showed itself. Pothole and put in valves and tried to pinpoint it where it was at, and finally, I think
They even took their bionic their acoustic leak detection out there, but of course it was right when it rained, so that big ditch right there they heard all that water going through, so.
Didn't really help much that day.
it exposed itself, I think, on Monday morning.
Well, yeah, it may, because you guys were at work and we were off.
Yeah.
Okay, yeah.
Sometimes that's the only thing that happens.
Yeah. Especially that far and that deep.
Yeah, it was very deep, and we put a valve in one spot, and we're like, it's gonna be right underneath, because it goes underneath that drainage ditch, that line does. So sure enough, it was kind of close to it, so it was just like, okay.
Christine, you have the next meeting date by chance?
Okay, so let's have a discussion about that.
Okay.
Elections is November 4th,
Okay.
which may affect this advisory board.
Okay.
We would like to push, because of holidays and everything else, to end of January.
Okay.
Same with Public Works. Y'all would meet next Thursday, the next one, or next Tuesday.
Tuesday, thank you.
But the resolution says you're supposed to meet the last Thursday of the month, which puts it Thanksgiving.
Okay.
And then on top of Christmas holidays. So we would also like after the next meeting for Public Works, readdress the end of January once everything has shifted with the election.
So not 100% my decision on that one. Are there any problems with us doing that? Well, but
Not 100%, no.
okay, consider it done.
Okay, so for the next one, Antoinette will be working the Public Works meeting because I will be doing another meeting.
Okay.
But I'll have the date for her set to tell you.
Right. And Ian, I didn't check with you. You're the other public. Did you have any comments? Okay. Okay, so with that, since we've discussed all the items on the agenda, are there any objections to adjourning this meeting? Okay, with that, we are adjourned. Thank you.